The attic smelled of dust and forgotten years. Sarah pulled the cord hanging from the ceiling, and a dim bulb flickered to life, casting long shadows over the piles of boxes and old furniture covered in sheets. The air was thick with the scent of mothballs and aged paper, and the wooden floor creaked beneath her feet as she stepped inside. She hadn't been up here in years, not since she was a child playing hide and seek among her grandmother's old belongings. Now, standing in the warm glow of the single light bulb, she scanned the attic, searching for anything of value. Her grandmother, Margaret Holloway, had passed away a month ago, and the task of sorting through the house had fallen to Sarah. It was an overwhelming job, one that carried the weight of loss with each opened box. She ran her fingers over the dusty surfaces of stacked trunks and faded suitcases before her eyes landed on a wooden chest near the back of the attic. It was different from the others, darker, sturdier, with metal reinforcements along the edges. Something about it called to her. Kneeling in front of it, she brushed away the dust and unlatched the rusted clasp. The lid creaked open, revealing a collection of yellowed papers, old letters tied with ribbon, and at the very bottom, an album bound in black leather. Sarah pulled it out carefully, running her fingers over the smooth cover. There was no title, no name, just an old, worn book filled with memories. She opened it, the thick pages crackling slightly as they turned. The first photograph showed a young couple standing in front of a house. Her grandparents decades ago, before age had stolen their youth. As she flipped through the pages, the album told the story of a family growing over the years. There were birthday parties, Christmas gatherings, and summer vacations by the lake. She recognized faces, her mother as a child, her great-uncle, long past, and even herself as a toddler, sitting on her grandmother's lap. The photos fascinated her. Some were faded, others sharp, as if the moments had been frozen in time. But there was something else, something that made her pause. A strange feeling settled over her, a prickling at the back of her neck. Some of the photos felt off. She wasn't sure why, but as she stared at them, a sense of unease crept into her bones. Shaking it off, she closed the album and carried it downstairs. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought about the attic, the dust-covered trunks, and the old photographs that had captured moments now lost to time. A part of her felt drawn to them, as if there was something more hidden beneath the surface of those frozen smiles. The next day, she placed the album on the kitchen table and began flipping through it again. The unease returned, stronger this time. She paused on a picture of a family picnic, a blanket spread over lush green grass, smiling faces enjoying the summer sun. Her grandmother was there, her mother, her aunt. She recognized them all, but something gnawed at her. She frowned, staring at the photograph for a long moment. Then it hit her. Someone was missing. She was sure she had seen this picture before, years ago, in another family album, and there had been another person in it, her grandfather, but here he was gone. The space where he had once been was just empty grass. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Had the picture faded with time? Had someone altered it? That didn't seem possible. There was no sign of tampering, no cuts or smudges. It looked perfect, untouched. She turned the page. Another photo, another missing person. This time, it was her great-uncle. She remembered this picture as well. Her grandmother had told her about it when she was a child. It had been taken at a Christmas gathering, the whole family squeezed together in front of the fireplace. But here, her great-uncle was missing. The space beside her grandmother was empty, as if he had never been there at all. Her breath quickened. She flipped faster now, her fingers trembling. More pictures, more missing people. The backyard barbecue from 1985. Her aunt was supposed to be in it, but she wasn't. The vacation by the lake. Her cousin gone. One by one, they had vanished. Sarah closed the album, her hands shaking. The house was silent around her, the only sound her own uneven breathing. She swallowed hard, trying to make sense of what she had just seen. It had to be a trick of memory. Maybe there had been another album and she was confusing the two. That had to be it. But deep down, she wasn't sure she believed that. That night, she couldn't sleep. The image of the missing faces haunted her. She tossed and turned, her mind racing with possibilities. Maybe it was just her imagination. Maybe the stress of her grandmother's passing was getting to her. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next morning, she returned to the album. She hesitated before opening it, her fingers hovering over the worn cover. A part of her didn't want to look. A part of her was afraid of what she might find. But she had to know. She flipped through the pages again, scanning each photo, her heart pounding. More people were gone, even ones she had seen just yesterday. Her breath hitched. This wasn't just her memory playing tricks. The pictures were changing. Something was erasing them. She slammed the album shut and pushed it away from her as if that could stop whatever was happening. The kitchen felt colder now, the light dimmer. The walls seemed to close in around her. She needed to get out of the house. Grabbing her keys, she rushed outside, gulping in the crisp autumn air. She stood on the porch for a long time, staring at the house as if it had betrayed her. The logical part of her mind told her that this was ridiculous, that there had to be an explanation. But another part whispered something else. Something was very, very wrong, and it wasn't done yet. Sarah couldn't ignore the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The album sat on the kitchen table like a living thing, its presence heavy, oppressive. She should have left it in the attic, buried under dust and forgotten memory. But now it was here, and it wouldn't let her go. Despite her fear, she couldn't stay away. It was as if an invisible force kept drawing her back, whispering in the quiet corners of her mind, urging her to open it again. That night, sleep was impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, images of the missing people haunted her. The empty spaces in the photographs stretched into darkness, swallowing faces she had once known. She thought about her grandmother, about the life she had lived in this house. Had she known? Had she understood what this album could do? By morning, she knew she had to look again. She sat at the table, her hands trembling as she reached for the book. Slowly, she opened it. The first few pages were the same. Her grandparents, her mother, her family in their younger years. She turned the pages carefully, scanning the faces, searching for changes. Her breath caught when she reached the page with the Christmas photo. More people were missing. Her great-uncle had vanished before, but now her aunt was gone too. The space beside her grandmother was emptier than before. The fireplace still burned warmly in the background. The Christmas tree twinkled with lights, but the family standing in front of it had grown smaller. Sarah flipped faster, panic building in her chest. The picnic photo, only her grandmother and mother remained. The backyard barbecue, only 2 figures instead of 5. Page after page, faces disappeared. She dropped the album, shoving her chair back so fast it nearly tipped over. Her hands were shaking, her heartbeat hammering in her ears. This wasn't possible. She grabbed her phone, scrolling through her saved family pictures. They were still there, unchanged. If this was some kind of trick, it hadn't reached them yet. But that didn't make her feel any better. She needed answers. Her mother had moved out of state years ago, but they talked regularly. Sarah dialed her number, tapping her fingers anxiously against the table. The phone rang and rang, but no one answered. She tried again. Nothing. A cold dread settled in her stomach. Her mother never ignored her calls. Sarah stood, pacing the kitchen. She had to do something. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe her mother was just busy. Maybe. She turned and froze. The album was open. She was certain she had dropped it shut, but now it lay open on the table, pages shifting slightly as if caught in a breeze, and the page it was open to made her blood run cold. It was a picture of her as a child, sitting on her grandmother's lap. But her grandmother was alone now. Sarah was gone. Her breathing turned shallow. Her fingers felt numb as she reached for the album, flipping desperately through the pages. She checked every picture where she should have been, the ones from childhood, the ones from her teenage years, the family vacations. She was missing from all of them. It was as if she had never been there at all. A sharp knock at the door made her jump. Her skin crawled as she turned toward the sound. She wasn't expecting anyone. She moved toward the door slowly, each step hesitant. The house was eerily silent, the air heavy with something she couldn't name. When she reached the door, she hesitated before looking through the peephole. There was no one there. But the knock came again, a slow, deliberate sound. She reached for the handle, but something inside her screamed not to open it. The air in the house shifted, a whisper of movement just behind her. She spun around, her heart pounding. The album was closed again. The room seemed darker than before, the shadows stretching toward her. She wasn't alone. Sarah stood frozen, her breath caught in her throat. The house felt different now, wrong in a way she couldn't describe. The air was thick, heavy, as if pressing in on her from all sides. The knock at the door had stopped, but the silence that followed was worse. It stretched through the house, settling in every corner, waiting. She turned slowly, her eyes locked on the photo album sitting on the table. It was closed now, though she hadn't touched it. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she stepped forward, hands trembling. She didn't want to open it again, but she had to. With painstaking slowness, she reached out and lifted the cover. The pages turned easily beneath her fingertips, flipping past images of a life that was becoming less and less familiar. Every missing person had vanished without a trace, as if they had never existed, but there was something worse waiting for her now. She reached the last photo, a picture of her grandmother's house, the house she was standing in right now. But it was abandoned. The paint on the walls was peeling, the windows were shattered, and the front door hung loose on its hinges. The yard was overgrown, choked with weeds, the trees twisted and bare. The house in the picture was a ruin, a hollow shell, and standing in front of it was her. Except it wasn't her. The figure in the photograph looked like her, but there was something off about it. The eyes were wrong, dark, empty. The longer she stared, the more the image seemed to shift, like something inside it was aware of her gaze. Then, in the dim light of the kitchen, she saw movement, the shadow of something just behind her reflection in the glass of the window. Sarah spun around, but the room was empty. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she backed away from the table. She had to get out of here. Now she grabbed her phone and ran toward the door, but as soon as her fingers touched the handle, the lights flickered and died. The house plunged into darkness. A cold wind rushed through the room, carrying with it the scent of dust and decay. Then, from somewhere deep within the house, she heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming closer. Sarah's mind screamed at her to run, but her body refused to move. She stood paralyzed as the footsteps reached the doorway. A shape loomed in the darkness, tall, indistinct, watching. A whisper slid through the air, a voice she almost recognized. Then the world went black. She woke up to silence. The house was empty. The photo album was gone, and so was she.